Doctors, nurses who deliver babies, what are some strange funny things people have screamed while giving birth? When I was born, my dad didn't know that babies are usually born face down. And as I was coming out he screams, "Oh my god, she doesn't have a face." This is my favorite. MFW no face. Not a doctor, but a father. When my first child was born his head was kind of misshapen. And when the doctor lifted him up to show my wife, she yelled, "Why the duck does he look like a raptor?" I lost it. My mom almost punched her best friend when I came out with my head all funny. My mom said, "How does she look?" And her friend's response was, "Kind of like E.T." My mom didn't have a sense of humor about it. No one was responding to the call button as my mom was giving birth, so she yelled, "Do something, honey." So my dad ran out into the hallway and screamed at the top of his lungs, "It's showtime," and I'm not a very good catcher. Clearly you have an exceptional memory. I was high on meds at the time. I was begging for BBQ ribs in between contractions. See Monday. Honey. The nurses will never know. They were standing right there. Did you get the BBQ ribs? No, but she did get a baby back. Apparently, when my aunt was giving birth, she was all jokes. Very angry jokes. But jokes nonetheless. Knock knock. WHOS there? The baby. Not yet. This is my favorite lol. My mother's labor was extremely short. I was born within an hour. So that means that she went from experiencing minimal pain to extreme pain with little time to adjust. When my dad was driving her to the hospital, he unfortunately had to stop for gas. He went in to pay, and just then an elderly man in a wheelchair stopped him, asking him to buy cigarettes for him as the store was not wheelchair accessible. My mom then proceeded to lean out the window, yelling, "Don't help the cripple." We have never let her forget that one. Edit, didn't think anyone would actually see this. Glad everyone got a laugh out of it. D. One lady was too posh to swear when in pain from contractions. She just said, "Jeepers creepers." Patient fully dilated. Started pushing. Then changed her mind. "I don't wanna do this. I'm going the duck home." And then tried to get off the table. This happens. Holy hit, this happens. Fear 101. After a long contraction, I said quietly, "I'm gonna set everyone in this room on fire." Everyone laughed, including the nurse. But I think my devoutly Christian mother-in-law started to cry. It's times like this that I wish I was a woman so that I can scream wildly inappropriate and zany things during my pregnancy. Then I say that again and realize I just wished I could give birth. Roughly aware of how painful it might be. All better. When my sister was in labor, she was screaming and our mom was trying to be comforting. "It'll be okay. Take some deep breaths. It'll be over soon." Then my sister looks up at our mom and says, "You have no idea what this is like. You just won't understand." Mom. I'm a nurse. But I'm also a mom. My husband told me when I was breathing the laughing gas I screamed, "I'm Lady Darth Vader," as I was pushing. Then I asked the doctor if he felt my tonsils when he had his arm up there. These are my co-workers. I hope they let you live it down. They are actually okay about it. We don't really talk about what goes on with staff when they are the patients. Which is good considering my son busted out of me kind of like the Kool-Aid man crashing through a wall. It took a lot of stitches to put my lady bits together again. I'm a nurse and one of the strangest things that I've seen happen while someone is giving birth is one patient decided to tell her boyfriend that it wasn't his baby. That made the whole room silent and the boyfriend just left without saying a thing. My wife worked as a nurse near a military base and had so many women grab her during labor when the husband would step out to go to the bathroom or was across the room and say, "Tell him the baby is early late." I had an affair while he was deployed and it is not his. I always felt bad for them. EMT who did a birth on the side of the road. Woman shouted, "Duck me," during a contraction and the husband casually replied, "That's how we got into this mess." Damn it. I had a very hard time containing myself. My fiance is a doctor and my mother's a nurse. So I'm claiming the titles by association for the purposes of this thread. My mother was unexpectedly having her 4th child and chose not to find out the sex. We like surprises everywhere. Apparently. For some reason. She became convinced it was a boy and would have bet the house on it. In the delivery room. They hand the baby to my dad and he joyfully tells my mom that they have a new baby girl. Mom, what? No. Check again. Dad, I'm pretty sure it's a girl. Honey. Mom, you're not looking hard enough. My older sister cried when she found out I was a boy. And both of my older brothers danced in jubilation. As a nursing student I was watching a planned C-section. The procedure was being performed by the senior resident. Everything seemed to be going well when I heard the resident mutter whoops and I looked up and saw blood squirting out. Pulsing. She fixed the artery very quickly but it obviously freaked out mom and dad. Everything turned out okay for mom and baby. Kind of a complimentary story but a friend of mine is a delivery nurse. And she's crazy. On her first real assignment with all of her training staff watching she hoisted the baby over her head and made the Lion King sound. You know the arse in BFL is navigated. We have a doctor that routinely does this. And watch out if you're new to the unit. He'll go to hand the baby to you and pretend to almost drop it. I don't know about you guys but I prefer it if a doctor didn't play with my new mini human. Those things are expensive. My roommate and I just finished our labor and delivery rotation in July. During one of the births she was helping out in. The mom and the dad were separated but still good friends. So while this woman is pushing out her baby she begins to half tell half scream that my roommate should date her ex the baby daddy. The conversation went something like this. Mom, you should really, screams in pain go out with, screams again, him sometime. He's really fun. Dad, I wouldn't mind some drinks sometime. What are you doing this evening? No she did not go out with him. That would make a heck of a love story. After I had my son I was pretty wasted on all the pain meds they'd given me. I looked at my husband and said honey, Condoleezza Rice is out there waiting for me. Tell her I can't come out to play today. I just had a baby. When my brother was born, they had to use forceps to get him out. My mom saw them and screamed those are salad tongs. You are not putting any goddamn kitchenware in there. Not a nurse doctor. When my mom was delivering me, she pulled my dad down to her level by his shirt and said get the duck out of my face. Not me but my mom delivers babies. She was telling me that one time there was a woman that went to push and opened up her mouth and had the longest drawn out scream ever. It was so long that everyone was kind of looked at each other, checked their watches and tapped their foot. Once she was done my mom went up to her and said you only get to do that once during a delivery and you just used yours. Apparently when you scream it takes all the power from your push. Just try pooping and screaming and you'll get the idea. Apparently this woman was actually a psychiatrist. Mind over matter am I right? I had a C-section and was pretty out of it. When they held up my daughter and said here's your baby. I responded that's not mine. I've never seen it before in my life. Take it to Lost and Found. First words to my son, you better be awesome cause that ducking hurt a lot. When my mother was pregnant she and my dad decided to have an amnio. A stand-in doctor was there the day she found out the results. And despite mum's instructions that she did not want to be told the sex, the doctor congratulated her on having a healthy little boy. My mum freaked out and decided not to tell my dad, so as not to ruin the surprise. Fast forward to the day of my birth. I'm brought into this bright world without a penis. The doctor congratulates my mother on her little girl. My mum responds by yelling you've got to be ducking kidding me. Silence from everyone in the room. The doctor then has a serious chat with my mum about loving me even though I am a girl. etc. etc. Turns out the amnio results were mixed up with another woman of the same name. Yeah, quite the confuzzle. Paramedic here, delivered a baby for a lady who did not realize she was pregnant and called us for abdominal pain. Patient, you are an idiot. I am not ducking pregnant. Me, well, I can see a head crowning. Patient, that must be a ducking tumor. The tumor was a healthy baby girl. Mom was totally sweet afterwards BTW. Not a doctor. Just a person who has given birth twice. With both of my children I cursed quietly under my breath the entire time because I watched an episode of Mythbusters that said cursing helps with the pain. The nurses said that I came up with the quietest and most unique curses they ever heard. I also made some sort of mooing sound during contractions. I have no idea where that came from. With my youngest, I was pushing. She was about to crown. And I looked at the doctor and asked when I could be released cause I didn't want to be stuck in the hospital for very long. We were out 24 hours later. The only time I yelled was during my first labor when my husband wasn't holding my leg correctly during pushing. I screamed, "Hold it correctly, you stupid duck." I was also present during the birth of my niece. I may have yelled "oh duck" while she was coming out. Not exactly during labor but right after. I had a very bad tear during natural childbirth which meant lots of stitches. Add to that it was training day for one of the med students and it was taking a long time. A really long time. Finally I look down between my knees and ask, "What the hell? Are you guys weaving a friendship bracelet down there?" Both doctors, the intern, and the med student burst out laughing so hard they had to stop working. Apparently there was some issue with how the intern was stitching me up and things had gotten tense. This lightened the mood quite a bit.